entails that racism requires a system. However, this completely ignores the fact that ism not only means system, but it can also be referring to a distinctive practice or philosophy.
What's good, you guys, and welcome back again on another episode. How are you all doing? I really hope you guys are doing great, and if you're joining for the very first time, thank you so much for tuning in. In today's video, we are going to be talking about the video this creator posted. He posted a question out asking the people who say, oh, as a white person I experience racism, white people as well experience racism. She posted a question out to them that I would like you guys to see, and I would like to hear you guys' opinion about it as well in the comment section. In the comment section of our own video, there are a lot of people disagreeing to what she said, but I know this has been a conversation that has been going on for a while. But then again, what do you guys think about what this lady said? Without wasting much time, let's just get right into it and let's see the question that she has for white people and other people who always say that anyone can experience racism.
I have a question for all of the people who think that anybody can be racist, specifically the white people, because they're the ones in my comment section constantly trying to convince me that anybody can be racist towards white people, that white people can experience racism, which we know is false because race plus ism is a system based on the prejudice of race and a distribution that is unequal of wealth, power, and privilege, but I digress. So back to my question, right? Since y'all are so adamant on believing that you can experience racism, that racism goes all ways, every ways, and white people experience it all the time on the daily, just like black people do, just like indigenous people do, and other people of color, I want to know something. What are y'all doing about it? Like, what are you doing about it? If you, as a white person, experience racism, and it's so prominent to the point of where you have to go into a black creator's comment section to really hammer down how much you experience racism and how I have no room to complain or talk and we're not the only one. So what are you doing about it? And also, what are you doing about white on white crime? I have a question for all of the people who think that anybody can be racist, specifically the white people.
Hey, not a white person here, but I think I can still help answer your question.
They're the ones in my comment section constantly trying to convince me that anybody can be racist towards white people, that white people can experience racism.
That shouldn't have to be something anybody has to convince you of if you actually understand what racism is. Racism being defined as prejudice, discrimination, or antagonism on a person or a group of people based upon their membership to a particular racial group.
Which we know is false because race plus ism is a system based on the prejudice of race and a distribution that is unequal of wealth, power, and privilege, but I digress.
See, now this is where a lot of people get tripped up, and it's understandable because we have deeply intellectual public figures like Lizzo preaching this to the masses. Race plus ism does not necessarily mean the system of race because the suffix ism doesn't just refer to systems. It could also refer to the act or practice of doing something, it could refer to a condition, or it could refer to a movement like an artistic or religious one. Autism is not a system of some sorts, even though it has ism at the end. It's a condition. Likewise, racism doesn't necessarily have to refer to a system of prejudice based on race, though it can be, and we have a term for that, systemic racism.
So back to my question, right? Since y'all are so adamant on believing that you can experience racism, that racism goes all ways, every ways, and white people experience it all the time on the daily, just like black people do, what are y'all doing about it? And also, what are you doing about white on white crime?
Now, I don't really agree with the idea that black people and white people experience racism in the same exact way, but I will say this. Evil and stupid people do exist, and they will always exist. Racism is just one of the ways those people get to express their evil and stupidity. Now, that doesn't mean we should allow racism of any kind in our systems or institutions, but as far as getting rid of individual racism, good luck. Also, this conversation of white on white crime and black on black crime doesn't really make much sense because, of course, there's a higher prevalence of same race crime versus interracial crime. People tend to commit crimes against those who live in close proximity to them, and black people tend to live closer to other black people, just like white people tend to live closer to other white people. And like I said, evil and ignorant people will always exist. The best you could do is to make sure you're not one.
Question for all of the people who think that anybody can be racist, specifically the white people, because they're the ones in my comment section constantly trying to convince me that anybody can be racist towards white people, that white people can experience racism, which we know is false because race plus ism is a system based on the prejudice of race.
So there's this odd belief that since the word racism contains the suffix ism, and since ism means system, this entails that racism requires a system. However, this completely ignores the fact that ism not only means system, but it can also be referring to a distinctive practice or philosophy. usually in relation to ideologies. In the same breath, what system does Catholicism denote? What system does autism denote? Dwarfism, plagiarism, astigmatism. These things do not inherently denote a system. These are practices, these are conditions. So if we were to use our context clues and recognize that racism is the practice of being prejudiced, discriminatory, or antagonistic by the basis of one's race, or if we recognize that racism is also the belief / ideology that other races are so similar within themselves, yet so different from yours that you begin to look at these other races as inferior to yours, you'll begin to realize that it makes way more sense for racism itself to fall under the category of practice and or ideology. If we acknowledge that being human comes with the capacity to fall victim to these harmful ideologies and practices perpetuated by other humans, you would essentially have to say that you believe that white people are not fully human. In the same way, we acknowledge that being human comes with the capacity to perpetuate these harmful practices. So if you believe that people of color have the inherent inability to do such a thing, you're essentially saying that you believe people of color are not fully human as well.
So whites can't experience racism.
You know, my good sister has the patience of Job with you all. I do fucking not. And I know for a fact that she has covered this topic with you all ad nauseum. I've watched. She's not left a stone unturned, but you are never happy with the accurate answer that she gives you. So I'm going to give you the answer that you want. Yes, white people can experience racism. Let me tell you a story. My mentor was a freedom rider in the Deep South, registering Black people to vote. They were on a bus. She went into the store. She was only 17 at the time. She lied about her age because she believed in movement. And she wanted to be a part of freeing us from struggle. She goes into a store, a little country store in Alabama, buys the things that she needs, and then she comes walking out of the store. Well, all of these people, your people in Alabama, found out that people from outside the state, my people, had come to register our people to vote. And they followed the bus. So when she walked out of the store, there was one of your people, a man, standing there waiting for her to come out with a double-barrel shotgun. He took aim and he fired. And when he fired, there was another man that looked like you. He was a priest. He was also on that bus, registering people that looked like me to vote. And he jumped in front of her. And he took 2 shots for my mentor. And he died right there at the door of that old country store. That man experienced racism. But what you do not understand is when people that look like you experience racism, it comes from people that look like you. And it is not until people that look like you completely deconstruct their own biases, their own privilege, and their own understandings of race as they have been taught. When they actually do the anti-racism work in word and deed, when they make that choice, your people begin to other them. We understand the seriousness of doing anti-racism work. Because once you completely dive into anti-racism work, you take it in to your consciousness. There is no going back. You are now at the point of no return in your people's eyes. you're no longer good. You're no longer valuable in your people's eyes because you are no longer willing to uphold the thoughts of supremacy that keep your people winning. So yes, your people can experience racism, but it doesn't come from us. It comes from people that look just like you. Is that the answer that you're seeking? Because it's goddamn sure the truth.
What do you guys think about the question that creator posed out to people, and then what do you think about some of the things that all these stitches said? I feel like one thing we can agree with from the three stitches, aside from the creator who asked that question, is that they all said white people can experience racism. The first two men that stitched to our video talked deeply on how white people can experience racism and anybody can experience racism. But the last woman talked about how, yes, white people can experience racism, but let's talk about who actually perpetrates that to them as well. Like, you guys experience racism from your own people, and until they deconstruct their mind, they will continue to experience that racism from their own people. And I would like to hear what you guys think about the point that lady made, actually, like the last stitch. I really want to hear you guys' take on that, because she said they experience this racism from their own people. What are your thoughts? Do you think anyone can experience racism? As we all know that racism is a white people's problem. But there are so many white people in the comment section of the original creator talking about, no, they experience racism. As a white person, as well, anybody can experience racism. And we all know that these people are the one who created racism to begin with. So how are we doing or perpetuating what you guys created towards you people? And to think they have not really done much work to even stop that system. We all know racism is of different type, and I think what she was actually talking about in that video is systematic racism. So in our comment section, I feel like our comment section targeted, they actually call on the white people to come talk about the things that they are doing if they experience racism. So I think this is the reason why our comment section was flooded with so many white people who do not agree and saying there's no way you want to twist the definition of racism. Anyone can experience racism. What do you guys think? Do you guys think anyone can experience racism? And what do you guys think about the woman who said the people who are actually racist towards white people are the same white people? What are your take on all of this? Share your thoughts in the comment section. Thank you all so much for joining. And if you have not subscribed, please subscribe before you go and turn your bell notification on. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, and I love you guys.